Well, the term Native American and Hispanic is a concoction of the Reagan administration. And I'm going to use the term ologist because there are many ologists that we have dealt with and deal with as Native people who do a lot of research, have done a lot of research, and tell us what is right and what's wrong and what's good and what's bad, and we as Native people, how we should live, where we came from, etc., etc. Most of it is wrong. I was going to say a bunch of bullshit, but I won't say that. So one of the ways that the Reagan administration tried to mainstream these two groups of people was by change of names. If you're a Native American, then you're further removed from your territorial treaty rights, from your moral rights, and their moral obligations, their legal obligations. If the Chicano in mostly the Southwest, but throughout the U.S., who is a breed, part Indian, oftentimes more Indian than Spanish or French or whatever the mix may be, that knows their indigenous history, that is tied to the indigenous bloodlines culturally by simple things like food. And if you make them Hispanic, then all of a sudden they become more European in thinking, in dressing, and being. And so it's easier for us to communicate based on the Eurocentric commonalities, whereas if you're Chicano, and even Mexican, but especially Chicano in this country, where in the 60s and the 70s there was a very, very strong proactive movement to recognize the Indian heritage and culture as part of the US came to us. Mexico came to us. Spain came to us. We've always been here on our Indian side. And all of a sudden, with a stroke of a pen, the Reagan administration made us Native Americans and made them Hispanic. Neither of which is true. As I have said, sociologically, anybody born anywhere in the Americas, and that's North Pole to South Pole, including the islands, is a Native American. But not everybody is an American Indian. The Chicano group, ethnically, culturally, in this country were the closest to being and talking about being American Indian or of American Indian descent. That was taken from them, and you know, now they're not everybody, but a lot of them are very happy to be Hispanic. A lot of our people, because more and more the government money and laws refer to us as Native American, have started using that term. The other thing I don't like about the term Native American is that when you abbreviate it, it's NA. And realistically, there are many, many forms that when you fill them out, if it's non-applicable, it's NA. And I certainly am very applicable in my own country, in my own rights. Small matter, but big matter. The reason that at IIA we use Native American Indian is to try and allow for that lie that Reagan and his people put forth that makes us Native American without losing our Indianness. And legally, culturally, ethnically, we're not going to lose our Indianness. The reality is that in 1492, what is now the country of India, was Hindustan. Hindu are the people. Stan is the country. People of the Hindu. It's just like Afghanistan. They're the people of Afghani. Kurdistan, the people of Kurd. So, but the revision of their history tells us that Columbus called us Indians. And no. In his annals, he wrote that he and his men were treated so good by the Indian people they were around, mostly the Tainos, around the lower islands, closer to the U.S. And he wrote, "En Dios," they treated us like Christian-like, or in Portuguese, in Jews. So that became Indian by the British. Keep in mind that 1492 and for many years after, the British and the Spanish were at war with each other. And part of the war was not only physical, naval, army, but psychological. What can we do to put them down, to make them look bad? You know? And that's, so no, I use the term indigenous. That's my preference. American Indian is, a preference. Certainly Apache, and people have asked me, and I said, well, if I'm walking down the street and you see me, you don't know my tribe. There are many of us. So I do not expect you to call me an Indian or American Indian because you don't know what tribe I am. But it would be nice to be recognized, first of all, as a human being. Secondly, as a native person, as an indigenous person. And that's why if somebody calls me chief, as I've been called many times over the years, I don't get upset. They do not know my tribe. They know nothing about me, but by tone of voice and attitude, normally when I have been called chief, they are recognizing me as an indigenous man. And it's with dignity and pride that they have said that. So.